We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone feeling today? How is everyone on this fine Friday as we are celebrating a few things today? I'm just going to wait a couple of moments because I have some friends sending me messages telling me to wait because they don't have a good connection. So I will wait momentarily for you to join in. If you can, send me a message. Where you're tuning in from, what's going on over there where you're tuning in from. It's always a pleasure to have you with us and tuning into these stories as we are concluding today Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. I see that the number is going up with those of you who are with us. Thank you for being here. As I mentioned before, there are a couple of holidays right now, a couple of celebrations, right? The first is, it is actually English Language Day. Yes, there is a day celebrating the English language, and that is today. So happy English Language Day. The second is World Book Day. Yes, we are celebrating books, reading, and the art, the macro skill of reading. And in doing so, this is what I would like you all to do. Not right now, but when we finish. Go to our page on Facebook, where you are right now, and look at the post that we have added today on our special giveaway. And this special giveaway is exactly that we are giving something away for free. And what is it, pray tell, that we are giving away today on World Book Day? What do you think? Yes, that's right. Books. We will be giving 10 complimentary readers to those who write down underneath that giveaway why you love ELT, English Language Teaching, why you love what you do, right? What is so special about what you do? And what we're going to do is put everyone's answers in a generated program and choose 10 lucky winners who will win 10 readers. Okay. And we are also celebrating something else today. As we are concluding with Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, it is his birthday, supposedly. So, as I light this candle, we wish Shakespeare a very, very happy birthday. We're not going to say many, many more, of course, but we will celebrate by finishing this book and spreading the word for students to explore his amazing works. So, happy birthday to Shakespeare. Alrighty, let's not catch on fire. That wouldn't be very nice right now while I am live. And then you'll put me on YouTube and make fun of me. So, let me see. Here we are. Here are the comments. Oh yes, love it. From all over the world joining us. Happy to have you with us. Lithuania, Thailand, Estonia, Ukraine, Athens, Ukraine. We have a huge fan base there. Japan. Wow, hello. Welcome. So, without further ado, let us continue with this story and see what happens in this, I wouldn't say love triangle. This is more like a love square with all of these people. Now, remember what happened. We were in the forest and we were trying to see if we can, take away this mistake that Puck has made with spreading that love potion on the people's eyes, and to see if they actually made everyone come back and fall in love with the right person. Okay. So, in the forest, as all of this was going on for them to, reunite the right lovers together, Theseus, Hippolyta, and Aegeus were making their way through the forest on horseback What a marvelous day for a hunt, said Theseus, as he breathed in the fresh morning air. It is a lovely morning, agreed Hippolyta. I've heard that this wood is full of deer, commented Aegeus. I'm sure our hunt will be successful. Release the dogs, shouted Theseus to his servants. The Duke, Hippolyta, and Aegeus watched as the dogs ran into the wood. My dogs are the best hunting dogs in all of Greece, boasted Theseus. They certainly are fine-looking animals, commented Aegeus. 15 minutes later, the dogs led the hunting party into the glade and straight to the sleeping young Athenians. Aegeus gasped, My goodness! That's my daughter, Hermia! Yes, if I saw my daughter laying in the middle of the forest with some friends and her fiance, boyfriend, whatever, I don't think I would be reacting just like that. But anyway. She's with Demetrius, Helena, and Lysander. What on earth are they all doing here? Perhaps we should wake them and find out, said Theseus. The Duke instructed his servants to blow their trumpets. And the two couples woke up immediately. Good morning, Your Grace, said Lysander, as he jumped to his feet. Good morning, Lysander, said Theseus. Tell me, why are you all here sleeping in the wood? Lysander stared at the Duke in confusion. I'm not quite sure, he said. Hermia and I ran away together. We were going to my aunt's house to get married. And somehow we all ended up here. What? Exclaimed a red-faced Aegeus. You were running away together? You disobeyed me and wanted to rob Demetrius of his wife. Your Grace, they should both be punished for this. It's all right, said Demetrius. Helena told me about Lysander and Hermia's plan to get married. So just take a look at what's going on here. Okay. What a surprise, waking up to the trumpets sounding. And I followed them into the wood, hoping to change Hermia's mind. But then the strangest thing happened. I do not know how, but my feelings for Helena returned. I no longer love Hermia. I want to marry Helena now, right now. Demetrius took Helena's hand in his, and the couple smiled at each other. Theseus and Hippolyta exchanged confused glances. So, none of you can remember exactly what happened last night? Asked the Duke. The four young people shook their heads. It all seems so far away, said Hermia. Like a dream, added Helena. Theseus turned to his friend Aegeus and said, I'm going to allow Hermia to marry Lysander and Helena to marry Demetrius. The old man sighed. Yes, Your Grace. Whatever you think is best. Let's return to the palace, said Theseus. Today I will marry Hippolyta, and you young people will also get married. Ooh, interesting. All of Athens will celebrate tonight. By the time the sun had risen in the sky, the two young couples, the Duke, Hippolyta, and Aegeus, had returned to the palace to prepare for their weddings. So not just one, not just two, but 3 amazing celebrations. So, hello from India. Well, hello there. How are you? Very nice to see you with us today. From Peru. When I say literally from all corners of the globe, this is what I'm talking about. From Turkey. Again, from Peru. Hungary. Yes, all right. Mexico. Wow. And you know what's really interesting, and I really appreciate you joining us for these events, is that I know that the time difference is incredible. So some of you are like way past your bedtime. Other people are just waking up. And some of you are busy in the middle of your day, and yet you're here with us. So thank you very, very much. So the early morning sun woke Bottom from his sleep. Now, do you remember what happened with Bottom? What happened with Bottom? He had the head of yes, of a donkey. The weaver opened his eyes and stretched lazily. Now, how did I get here? He said, as he glanced around the cave. Bottom's gaze fell on a wreath of flowers that lay on the ground. He picked up the wreath and looked at it very carefully. This wreath was in my dream last night. I remember a very beautiful woman with golden hair and green eyes and a fairy playing a flute. How strange. The weaver frowned as he tried to remember the events of the night before. He remembered rehearsing in the forest, and he remembered his friends running away, afraid, in terror. I probably went to look for them and ended up in this cave, he said. He pulled one of the flowers from the wreath and breathed in its sweet smell. And then I fell asleep and I had a strange dream. The weaver stood up. I must find Peter, he said. Perhaps he can turn my dream into a song. We can call it Bottom's Ballad, and I'll sing it for the Duke at the end of the play. Pleased with his idea, Bottom hurried out of the cave and made his way through the wood back to Athens. At around the same time, the craftsmen were gathering together at Peter Quince's house to discuss the strange disappearance of Bottom. I just can't understand why Bottom didn't go home last night. Does anyone have any idea where he could be? The men shook their heads. Do you think the donkey monster ate him? Said Francis, his eyes round with fear. Peter shrugged. I hope not. What if he never comes back? Asked Robin. We won't be able to put on the play without Bottom, will we? Probably not, said the director. Bottom is the only man in Athens who can play the part of Pyramus. He certainly is a very talented actor, said Francis. He is gifted, truly gifted, said Robin. Suddenly, there was a loud knock at the door. It didn't really sound like a knock, but you get the point. That might be Bottom, said Robin, as Peter rose from his chair to answer the door. Sometimes when you make the sound effects, even though you practice and you say it's going to sound right, it doesn't come out, but that's okay. Please, come in, said Peter, bowing awkwardly at the Duke's master of revels. Thank you, said Philostratus. The master of revels examined a piece of paper he'd been holding, then glanced around the room at the craftsman. Good day, gentlemen, he began. I have very good news. The Duke and 2 other couples are actually getting married later on today, so you might get the opportunity to perform your play for them this evening. The men gasped. Wait a minute. But the Duke's wedding wasn't supposed to take place for another 2 days, said Peter. We need more time to rehearse. The Duke surprised us all with his decision, said Philostratus. But your play is on the official list of entertainments. And if the Duke decides that he wants to see it, then you must be ready to perform. Do you understand? Yes, of course, we do. Philostratus looked at his list once more. It says here that your play is a tragedy, and that it's called The Cruel Deaths of Pyramus and Thebes. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct, said Peter. Would you mind performing a scene or 2 for me? Asked Philostratus. The Duke may ask me for my opinion of your play, and I must tell him. The craftsmen looked at their director. We'd be honored to perform for you, Mr. Philostratus, said Peter. The director cleared his throat nervously before continuing. The thing is, he drank a little bit of water. We have a little problem. He looked at him in confusion. Yes. When you lose your place when reading a reader, you must improvise and look again because you're seeing double. And here we are. Okay. The thing is, it's Friday, guys. Give me a break. Come on. Right? It's the end of the week. Right? We're all just relaxing right now. It's 6 o'clock in the afternoon for me. Right? And so we could just have a little fun. The thing is, we have a little problem. Oh, said Philostratus, raising his eyebrow. Wait. What is it? I don't do it as well as The Rock, but I got it, I think, right? Okay. Our bottom is missing, answered the director. I beg your pardon, said Philostratus. Nick Bottom, excuse me, explained Francis. Nick Bottom. He plays the part of Pyramus. Unfortunately, he disappeared in the wood last night. Philostratus' eyes widened with surprise. Disappeared in the wood, you say? The men nodded sadly. That is a problem, said Philostratus. Well then, someone else will have to play the part. Perhaps you could do it, Mr. Quince. The master of revels waved his hand in the director's direction. I suppose, yeah, I could do it, said Peter. You'll have to, said Philostratus. As I said earlier, your play is on the official list. If the Duke wants to see it, you'll have to perform it. I have to return to the palace soon, so I'd appreciate it, please, if you would perform at least one scene for me. Philostratus sat down on a wooden chair while the men quickly took up their positions. The master of revels watched speechless as the craftsman performed the scene from Act 1. When it was finished, Philostratus stared at the actors, open-mouthed. I think he liked it, whispered Robin to his fellow performers. After a very long pause, the master of revels stood up. That was, fine, gentlemen. Just fine, he said. I should go now. I'll see you all at the palace. Peter showed Philostratus to the front door. And when he was gone, the director turned around to congratulate his men. Did you hear that? Said Peter. He thinks we did a fine job. If only Bottom were here, said Francis. Did someone mention my name? Said a familiar voice. The craftsmen turned around to look at the door. They were very surprised to see their good friend Bottom standing on the doorstep. Bottom? Shouted Peter. The craftsmen cheered and rushed and embraced the weaver. See, in my excitement, I couldn't read it. Where have you been? Asked Robin. Well, began Bottom, it's an interesting story. Hold on, Bottom, said Peter. You'll have to tell us your story later. Philostratus has ordered us to go now to the Duke's palace to put on our play. Bottom clapped his hands together. Wonderful, wonderful, he said. Let's go, gentlemen. Tonight the Duke will see a play he will never forget. With that, the craftsmen walked out of Peter Quince's small house and made their way to the palace. So, before I continue for the finale, remember, it is English Language Day, everyone, so happy English Language Day. All right, every day should be English Language Day in our schools with English teachers, right? And it is also World Book Day. Woohoo! Yes, promoting reading. So what are we going to do? When we finish this last chapter and I close this live event, I want you to go to our Facebook page, all right, where you are already, basically, and look at the post that says special giveaway. It was posted today. I want you to write a comment. The instructions are there on the post. And we will choose 10 comments, randomly, of course, and each of you will receive a free reader because today is World Book Day. And once again, it is Shakespeare's birthday. I have blown out the candle already. I cannot light it again because of my hand, but that's okay. And so, happy birthday to dear old Shakespeare. All right. Let us continue. Let me just check real fast. Oh my goodness. But don't forget what I say. You can always better your best, right? But thank you very much for that comment. I appreciate it. Oh, I love the comments. Your comments are awesome. You have made my Friday. Oh, thank you. So, here we go. The final countdown. All right. After the wedding, the Duke and Duchess and all their guests made their way to the banquet hall for a spectacular feast. Okay, this is basically how we look during quarantine, right? We're all sitting around the table, eating, gaining weight, but that's okay. The guests were treated to a fine selection of delicious food, which they ate off shiny gold plates. Everyone talked and laughed merrily, including the two young couples who, just days before, could not have imagined that everything would turn out so well, splendidly well. Once the main course had been served, the Duke stood up and raised his glass. "To the Duchess," he said. "To the Duchess," said all the guests as they raised their glasses too. I might as well drink again. "May you all have long, happy marriages," said Aegeus, as he smiled at his daughter. Hippolyta glanced at the two young couples and raised an eyebrow. "I must admit," she whispered to Theseus, "this..." Wait a minute. My video has gone out. Oh no. Give me one moment, everyone. The video has gone out, but that is okay. Just give me a moment. The trials and tribulations of working online. All right. We can see you fine. Oh, really? You can. Keep going. All right. There's my backup. You see, I have my director right here. Thank you very, very much for telling me that because I can't see anything. So, preparation, guys. What a team. Theseus put down his glass and shrugged. "I don't know, my dear," he said. "Young people are always changing their minds. Anyway, I wouldn't worry about that now. Let us enjoy our wedding celebration." Ah, there's Philostratus with the list of this evening's performances. The master of revels made his way past the tables and handed the Duke a sheet of paper. "Here you are, your grace," he said. "Please choose the performance you'd like to see after the meal." Theseus read through the list and shook his head. A man playing the harp and singing about the battle with the centaurs. No. The three muses singing about death. I don't think so. What's this? A play about Pyramus and Thesbe? Philostratus sighed. "It's a truly awful play, your grace. I wouldn't recommend it." "Who are the performers?" asked Theseus. "A group of common craftsmen with no acting ability at all," replied Philostratus. Theseus thought for a moment. "I see. Well, since they went to the trouble of preparing a play for me, I would like to see it," he said. Philostratus gasped. No, your grace. It's a very, very bad play." "I've made up my mind, Philostratus. Tell the craftsmen to get ready." He nodded. "Yes, your grace," and quickly walked away. After dessert, the Duke and his bride invited all of their guests to join them in the amphitheater. "I hope this play is good, Theseus," said Hippolyta, as she sat down. "Philostratus did not seem very pleased with your choice." "I'm sure it will be very entertaining," said the Duke. Theseus noticed the two young couples entering the amphitheater, and he waved to them to join him. Lysander, Hermia, Demetrius, Helena, I'd like you all to sit next to me. Aegis, you too. Once the audience had taken their seats, trumpets, that was a better one, trumpets sounded, and the director of the play walked onto the stage to say the prologue. Peter Quince. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come here tonight to entertain you, but if we offend you in any way, we do apologize. Our goal this evening is simply to show how wonderfully talented we are. We had intended to perform our play in 2 acts, but since we did not have much time to rehearse, we will only perform Act 2 for you. May I present the actors to you. Nick Bottom, Francis Flute, Tom Snout, Robin Starveling, and Snug. They all walked on stage as they heard their name, and everybody clapped. Needless to say, they performed very, very well, and everybody enjoyed the play. And once the play had ended, the director walked back onto the stage. This is the end of the play, Your Grace. Would you like to see the epilogue? He asked. Theseus looked at him and said, No, thank you. It's very, very late, Mr. Quince, and we're all very tired. But well done, men. You did a splendid job. Theseus began to clap loudly, and some of the audience even joined in. The audience began to exit the theater, while the craftsmen took their bows and congratulated each other. I knew our play would be a success, said Bottom. We couldn't have done it without you, Bottom, said Peter, as he patted the weaver on the back. Men, let's go and celebrate. Meanwhile, outside of the palace, during this entire celebration of 3 weddings, Puck, Titania, and Oberon were waiting patiently for everybody to close their eyes and go to sleep. One by one, the lights in the windows went out, and when the palace was finally dark, the fairies entered quietly to bless each and every one of them inside. May the Duke and Duchess and the 2 young couples have love and happiness always, said Oberon. And many, many beautiful children, said Titania. With that, the fairy king, Oberon, and the queen, Titania, left the Duke's palace and returned to their home in the wood. Only Puck, dear Puck, remained behind to cast the spell that would ensure an entire night of sweet and pleasant dreams. And so, ending on that note, I would like you all to consider the following, please. As today is World Book Day, reading stories, telling stories, creating imaginary stories, involving your kids and your students in this experience of storytelling, it is actually magical. Unfortunately, we don't do enough of it. Technology plays a huge role in this, and I am at fault also. When I go home late at night, I tend to find myself on my cell phone, checking social media, checking articles, looking for research on my next presentation. And I say to myself, I catch myself, and I say, the time that I waste doing that should be well spent sitting with my kids and involving them in reading. And I have found that when we do this together and the lights slowly dim out and it is time for them to fall asleep, that they do have wonderful and sweet dreams. So let's put this into practice, shall we? As educationalists and parents alike, and start involving them more in this reading process. Ladies and gentlemen, as I read all of your comments, please stay tuned for more events that we will be sharing with you, webinars that my colleagues Chris and Nadia will be presenting in the next 2 Mondays. And I wish you all an absolute wonderful Friday, as I know that teachers and students love Fridays alike. An incredible weekend, and have a wonderful, wonderful time wherever you are. Okay, so on behalf of myself and my colleague, Natalia, my director, and Publications, thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon. Take care.